everybody, and welcome to the Lovebird Lane podcast. I'm your host Julianne, and I know it has been a little while. I was hoping to be able to still podcast through all my busyness. However, I think it's been 2 or 3 weeks since I podcasted last, and I have recorded a podcast in between that time, but something happened to the audio. I did have the window open that day, and I think it was windier outside than I thought it was, and it seems that my microphone has picked all of that up. So yeah, I pretty much had to trash all of that footage. It was about a 25-minute podcast, so that was kind of sad. But yeah, it was just, I tried doing noise cancellation and things on it just to try and edit the sound quality, but yeah, I just could not get it to be any level that would be listenable for anybody. You could still hear me clearly, but there was this underlying sort of swooshing sound that was just incredibly distracting, and I did not want to inflict that on any of you. Probably the only option I would have had was to delete the sound and include captions. And ain't nobody got time for that, let me tell you. So here I am. Another reason that I haven't been podcasting is because I have been in quite massive amounts of pain over the last few weeks. I am getting better now. I'm feeling much better. And pretty much I was having pain from my shoulders all the way down to my fingertips. So my hands were very sore, my wrists, my elbows, my shoulders, even into my collarbone. And I've still got a little pain in this collarbone today, actually. And I don't know what caused it. As you all know, I have been doing a lot of dyeing and warping and things like that recently. And I think possibly it is, I went to the doctor, and it looks like it was probably just RSI. So just doing the same movements over and over and over again, just wearing myself out. I had a blood test. The blood test came back having no markers for any kind of inflammatory or autoimmune sort of diseases. So I came back clear for all of that. So it seems for all of that kind of stuff, I'm pretty healthy. I'm pretty set, which is good to know. So yeah, I've just been in a lot of pain. So pretty much my only option has been to rest. So I haven't had a lot of knitting done, or crafting of any type. It is very hard for me as a person to rest and be still. My husband Simon has been on my case like you wouldn't believe. He's actually cooking dinner all of this week, simply so that I don't need to be doing more than what I need to do as a necessity for my work. So that's been quite nice. Although I have been ducking into the kitchen and helping out with certain things because he's slow. So, I want to eat my dinner when I want to eat my dinner. But also I just can't, I don't know what to do. Like I'm the type of person that if something needs to be done, it needs to be done, and just do it. And I find it very hard to sit still and do anything else when I know that there is a job being done. So yeah, he's been getting a little bit frustrated with me, but it's all in good fun. It's all good. But yeah, I have been struggling a heap with resting. I think it was Saturday or Sunday. Simon decided he was going to do all of the washing and hanging out the washing and everything so that I could relax my arms. And I'm just sitting on the couch with my arms pretty much straight because bending my elbows hurt, using my hands hurt. So I pretty much needed to have my joints in a relaxed, straightened position. So I was sitting on the couch with just my arms straight on my lap, pretty much, or on the couch beside me. And I was so bored. I was so beside myself. I just didn't, nothing. I was listening to YouTube videos and that kind of thing, and just nothing was doing it for me, and I was just so depressed, and yeah, it was pretty sad. But yeah, so that's something that I've not been able to do much. However, in the last week, I have been beginning to feel a little bit better. I did do some plying of some spinning, which I will show you later, while I was being painful, but that was on a day that I was feeling much better. And yeah, because I was feeling better, I decided to apply a bunch of yarn on a new toy that I will be sharing with you. And yes, so because I felt better that day, I did a lot of plying and I paid for it the next day. So yeah, that was too much too soon. However, I think this week I'm finally on the mend, which is really, really good. However, I do have a lot of self-striping warping to do, so we'll see how that goes, having my arms up in the air and moving backwards and forwards. I can't really avoid it. I've made commitments, so it needs to be done. So yes, you'll probably notice that my hair is a little bit longer at the moment because my head has been getting very, very cold, and because of wearing hats and the way I wear hats down over my ears, I'm actually irritating a lot of my piercings. So I've let my hair grow back slightly so that I can have a little bit more warmth on my head. It's very frustrating that wearing the hats is irritating my piercings, especially because at least one of the ones that it's irritating should be well healed by now. It's only a lobe piercing, but my lobe is not very happy. But my Darth piercing and my helix piercing don't like it very much either. It actually creates some sort of pressure, even though it's knitted fabric that's stretchy. It's creating pressure that's actually giving me a bit of pain in those piercings. The Darth should technically be almost healed. That's about 7 months old now, and my helix is 5 months old, so they're both pretty well into the healing phase, but they aren't happy. So I haven't been able to wear hats. So I've got a little bit of extra fuzz on the top at the moment. I'm sure as soon as the weather starts heating up, it will be going quite short. But for the moment, I don't know whether I'm going to keep growing it for now. But we'll see. It's just helping to keep my head a little bit warmer in these chilly temperatures. All right, and because I haven't had a lot of time, or I've had time, I haven't had the ability to knit. I haven't actually finished anything. The last week I have been chipping away on some stuff because, as I said, my hands are feeling a bit better. So the first thing that I have been working on and have failed my deadline, unfortunately, is my Callitris tea. And I have not done too much since you saw it last. I'm not too far off. I think I need to do 33 repeats of the little arrow design that is on the side here. I think I need to do 33 repeats, and I think I'm around the 25 mark. So I'm not too far away there. It's a 4-row repeat. And I'm actually doing a mod that I saw one of the other test knitters do on this t-shirt, and that is actually adding some extra stitches into the garter stitch section so that it will flare a little bit. And having larger hips as I do, straight up and down stuff does not really suit me that well, because, you know, it can sit baggy around my middle, which is, you know, as it's supposed to look, but then it gets tight around my hips. So because for my body shape, I actually have quite a small waist compared to my hips. So I saw this person do this mod, and I thought that that would be a really good thing for me to try. So yeah, I've been adding extra stitches, so therefore my rounds are longer as well. And so yeah, I'm still plugging away on it. I don't want to put any dates on it. I've told Jess, unfortunately, I've not been able to get it finished because this is for the Sweater Collective, my friend Jess, and I had to be honest, like I haven't been able to knit, and because this is linen, this is Knit Picks, not Kotlin, Lindy chain, so it's 70% linen, 30% cotton. There's not really a lot of stretch to the yarn itself, and I'm knitting it on 3mm needles, and that the non-stretchy yarn and the tiny needles, I think, were part of what was killing my hands. So I'm only really working on this a little bit at a time now, because now that I've already failed the deadline, yesterday was the deadline, I'm not going to put my hands in jeopardy again to try and rush this finished. I believe it's being released at the end of the month, I think the 27th of June. So I'm just going to keep plugging away. I'll try and get some whip photos up on the project page, but this will not be finished, and as I said, I don't want to jeopardize the health and the pain in my hands, my pain-free hands at the moment, or mostly pain-free. I don't really want to jeopardize that by rushing this, so I'm just doing a little bit every day, doing a few rounds. I am almost finished looking at that tiny little skerrick of yarn that's on the floor. On my almost finished my 5th ball. I have one more ball of yarn, so I don't know whether that's going to be enough to finish this, but I'm thinking I'll just knit the body as long as what the pattern says, do my neckline, and then use the remaining yarn to knit the sleeves, and then whenever I run out of yarn on that 6th ball is when my sleeves finish. So that's my Callitris. I don't know how to say it. I should really find out, but yeah, that is my test knit, which I have failed. But yeah, I do like this pattern. It's a lovely pattern, and I'm sure that this is going to get a lot of wear once I finish it, of course, and the weather heats up. So yeah, that's a good pattern, and keep an eye out for it when it gets released at the end of the month. A project that has been taking up a lot of my time is another sweater for Granger, because I have already knit him 2, and it was intended to alternate between the 2. However, he for some reason ran under the bird cage and got his other sweater snagged on one of the screws that holds the tray. She's got like a seed collector tray around her cage, and he got his sweater stuck on it and ripped a hole in it. So yes, I have started a new sweater for him, and it is in the same yarn that the old one was in, different colour, but yeah, I've been working on a new sweater for him, and this is one of the pieces. So this is Cascade 220 Heathers, the non-superwash Cascade, and basically the second one that I knit, I don't know whether, I feel like I've said this before, but it could be on that failed episode that I couldn't upload, or I couldn't even edit because it was awful. But anyway, yeah, he has another sweater that he's currently wearing at the moment, and that's his stripy sweater, and that was knit in, again, Cascade 220, but the superwash version. And I also knit it as in the round instead of seamed, because this is, the pattern itself says seamed. And I think because the superwash yarn stretches, which is just part of the nature of the beast, that superwash yarn can stretch, and because I didn't seam that sweater, it is stretched out heaps, and it kind of needs to be washed quite regularly to snap it back into shape. So because he put a hole in the other one, and I haven't found my leftover yarn to be able to darn it, he's pretty much wearing that stretched out sweater, and only that stretched out sweater at the moment. So one of my favourite yarn stores, which is Yay for Yarn in Sydney, Queensland, I can't remember, over on the eastern states anyway, is closing down, sadly, and So she had 20% off everything in store. I assume it's probably still going if you want to go and see what else she's got left. But yeah, I got this one. This one's called Red Wine. It is really, really lovely. Not that I'm a red person, but looks great on Granger because he's that liver chocolate brown. Like these deep reds look really, really good on him. So I've done the back piece. Last night I finished the belly piece, and then so now I've got to seam this to the back piece so that I've got the shell of the sweater, and then I'll need to pick up the neckline, the armholes, and the bottom of the sweater. So there's still a little bit of work to do on this, but it possibly will be finished within the week if I use this as my main project that I'm going to work on. I really need to, because it needs to get finished for poor old Granger, because he's a short hair and he's a very skinny dog. The cold weather really does hit him quite hard, so Granger's sweater will need to be done pretty quickly, and it might even be by the next time I record. Who knows? I don't know when I'll be recording next. Hopefully next week, but that's to be seen. And my last knitting in progress is a pair of socks, of course. Although I did lose a little bit of my sock mojo recently. I have been knitting a pair of socks out of my own yarn because I've been dying to see this yarn knit up, and this is my Impressionist colourway. So it is mostly blue, like a bluey grey with pops of green and red. Or orange, I suppose. It's kind of a corally orange. And I really wanted to see how this knit up, so I have made a pair of socks. This is my sheepy base, so it's my BFL nylon sock base. And I'm so happy with how they have knit up. They are not really pooling. You can kind of see a bit of a spiraling, but that's going to happen on a small circumference like this anyway. As you know, I work hard to keep my socks from not being a flashing and pooling type effect. So I'm really happy with how these have turned out. And thankfully, when my hands are actually feeling okay, I can bust out a lot of sock. Because I don't really look at my socks when I knit, and I knit on a 9-inch circular, I can pretty much have my hands or my arms out straight and I can just knit. So long as my hands are feeling good, I could knit these while I was in pain. So I have done a whole sock, and I'm almost up to the heel on the second one. And as I said, I'm really, really happy with how this knit up. I actually had a lovely customer come and pick up some. She'd bought some of the Impressionist from my stock, which is not very much left because I've been having a big sale, which I'll tell you about later if you are not aware. And she'd bought the 2 skeins I had of this on DK, and I run over and I grabbed my sock and I said, look, I've just finished a sock, and she's like, oh, I like that. So that was really good to hear. But yeah, I really enjoy seeing my colourways knit up, and yeah, I'm just plugging away on this sock when I can get to it. I do have a hoe, and yeah, I'm pretty pleased with it. I'm really, really happy with it, and I keep looking at it and looking at all the little pops of colour that come through in it, so it's pretty fun. I'm pretty happy with it. And I've got a couple of other things to tell you about that I finished. And this is the yarn that I mentioned that I, get the tag out of the way, that I plied while my hands were feeling good that day. So I did it on my brand new toy, which I'll talk about in just a moment. And this is some Bendigo Woolen Mills Ready Spin that they sell. They sell big 1 kilo bags of fibre. It's merino fibre. And this is a spin that I actually had on my wheel for a very long time. I believe I started this in April 2016, and I've now just finished it in June 2019. So it's been a very, very long process. Because these are 1 kilo bags, I took some advice from a spinning podcast that I am subscribed to, and that is the Woolen Spinning podcast with Rachel. And I heard on that she suggests when you're doing a big spin, to put all of your bobbins of singles onto toilet paper rolls, and when you are ready to ply from the beginning and the end to get a more consistent spin. So I have done a 3-ply. This is a 3-ply. It's about a worsted to Aran weight yarn, and I basically, because it's 3-ply, so I can't just go, okay, number 1 and number 12 together. So basically what I did is I went number 1, number 2, number 12. 12 was just off the top of my head. I can't remember how many TP rolls I had, but yeah, I just went number 1, number 2, number 12, and then I went number 11, number 10, number 3. So I kind of did 2 from each end plus the 1 from the other end. And I worked out all my yardages and my grist the other day. I believe I have about 1,143 yards out of, I don't know what that is in meters, I work in yards. But yeah, I've got about 1,143 yards, and my grist was kind of anywhere from 500 yards per pound to 700 and something yards per pound. So it's a little irregular, which is not surprising, seeing the spinning and plying was done over a very, very long time. And because I plied it on different different tools, I actually spun this and plied the first few skeins on my Ashford traditional, which is behind me here. I don't think you can see it. She's just down here behind me. And I've actually been struggling to ply on that wheel for some reason. I need to have very, very tight tension to get her to ply reliably, and that means that she is kind of bumping around a lot and is very hard to treadle. So when I got my new toy, which I keep talking about, which I'll tell you about in just a moment, I decided to ply my remaining bobbins of singles into the yarn. So yeah, and like I said, because it's been such a long spinning process, such a long time between plying certain skeins, there is a lot of difference in the texture and the twist on these skeins. So I think what I'm going to have to do is possibly alternate skeins through the project, even though these are all heathered yarns. So you're not going to get striping. It's all from the same batch, heathered yarns. But I think because of the differences in the grist and the differences in twist, I will probably need to alternate skeins in whatever project I decide to make out of these. I did have a project in mind, but I don't know, with the way that my current taste in what I like to wear, that it will be suitable, because it was kind of a cropped cardigan, and I don't do anything cropped. So I'm going to have to look into what I want to make out of this yarn, but I'm really happy that it's done. It's allowed me to get rid of all of those TP rolls that were here in my craft room. But yes, I'm very, very happy with this. It's super squishy, it's lovely and soft, and yeah, I can't wait to figure out what I'm going to be making with this, and casting on, of course. And I have been doing some other things, because I've been trying to mix up my crafting just so I can use different muscles and different movements in my hands rather than the same thing over and over again. So I do have a couple of other things to show, but I'm probably just going to put in a little bit of an overlay very quickly over what I'm saying now. One of those things is a little bit of spinning. I initially got an e-spinner from my friend Shelley. Hi Shelley, if you're watching. And she gave me this e-spinner, and I've been doing a little bit of spinning on that. But that will be going back to her eventually. But I do have some yarn that is on there at the moment. I'm just trying to get through the entire bat so that I can start plying. And I've also been doing some weaving, because weaving is a little bit easier on the arms. It is a lot of elbow movement, however, but it is, of course, a different movement to other things that I do. So I've been working on some bag fabric on there. It is taking me a really long time for some reason. I did spend 2 hours, I think, the other night. It wasn't a very long time working on it, and I am getting close to the end. So I'm just putting in my patterning at the moment with my pickup stick technique that I transposed from something I found on the internet. And yeah, so I'm nearly done with this one, and I think rather than using my full warp all at once, I'm going to possibly cut it and retie it so that I can get the fabric off the loom rather than waiting until I'm done with the whole warp. But yeah, so that's still on the go. I'm quite enjoying the colours, the way they're working in this design. So yeah, hopefully that will be a bag that will be up in my shop at some stage, probably later in the year after I've moved, so probably August or September. I haven't got any final dates for when I'm going to be reopening. I do know when I'm closing, but I don't know when I'm reopening. But anyway, let's talk about a new toy that I have got, because I keep alluding to it, but I haven't shown you yet, so I will just grab it. I have treated myself to a e-spinner. Not just any e-spinner. I have gone for the big one. This is an Ashford Super Jumbo e-spinner, and if you are curious why I got this rather than the e-spinner 3, it's a little bit to do with where I'm gonna go after I reopen my shop. So it's a little bit of extra something that I'm going to be adding to my shop, and because of that I needed a larger capacity so that I can do a lot of yarn in the same batch, and I wasn't going to be able to do that on the e-spinner 3 because of the amount of yarn that the bobbins can hold. So I've only done a bit of plying with this so far, which was the project that I've just shown you. It has absolutely massive bobbins, as you can see here, and yeah, I'm actually really happy with it. It's so well made, it is beautiful, it's quiet, and it can of course do the quantity of yarn that I'm going to be able to need. So it is taking up the whole frame. But yeah, I got this actually on a really good deal. I am a customer of a shop called Green Living Australia, I believe is what it's called. And unfortunately the sale is finished, so please don't go rushing over there to see if you can get the same deal I did. But they had an end of financial year sale, and they were offering 15% off purchases over $300. So I had been in the market for one of these. I was looking for afterpay options and looking for, you know, on eBay, see if I could get any discount on anything like this secondhand, and I just couldn't find anything. So the ability to get this at 15% off through Green Living Australia was more like, it was better than I could have imagined. So I ended up getting quite a bit of money off this unit, because it is not a necessarily cheap unit. They retail for just over $1,000, and my entire order, I think, because I got some extra bobbins and some other things, was just under $900, I think. So I got quite a lot of money off my order. And so I got this to me, and I realised that the other bobbins that I ordered wouldn't work with this, and I only realised that after I'd placed my order. So what I did is I jumped back onto Green Living Australia, and I got a couple of what I will just grab and show you now. I'll put this down. So I got a lazy cape, or 2 of these, with more bobbins, because these bobbins are not cheap, as you can imagine. They are absolutely huge. They remind me of, like, you know, doing gym work, you know. They're huge, and these retail for about $90 each, and you're able to get the Lazy Kate here, which is an adjustable Lazy Kate. You can change the tilt on the bobbins, and 2 bobbins for $2.75, I think it was. And then I got the 15% discount, and I was able to afterpay these as well. So I am completely set up for my partial new venture for the second half of the year. And you guys are the first ones to hear anything about that. It's just a sneaky peek. So yes, I bought 2 of these so that I've got plenty of bobbins for doing 3 and 4 ply yarns, and being able to ply them as well. So I'm going to put this down because it's quite heavy. So yeah, I've been on a little bit of a spending frenzy. I thankfully, because of all my lovely customers buying me out in my shop at the moment, have been able to pay most of it off, which I'm very, very grateful for. Thank you so much for everybody who's helped me to clear out the shop. And I have a few beautiful things remaining, so if you'd like to help me empty my shop before I move, so I don't have to move all of the stock, head over to lovebirdlane.com, check out the shop, and use the code CLEARTHEDECKS to get 35% off, I believe, in the shop. So I think that's what I set it to. I had 2 different sales, one for my newsletter subscribers. They got a better deal. So if you want the better deal, you should have subscribed to the newsletter. But yes, yeah, that is still going. I am closing the shop on the 1st of July. So if you do want something, get in there quick, because there's only another week in order to do that. Just over a week. So yes, use the code CLEARTHEDECKS for 35% off in the shop for my remaining items. And that is about it. I think I'm going to leave it there. I've got some more work to do this afternoon, and I've got to get this all edited and ready to go. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Please, if you have anything to say, any questions or comments, please pop them down in the comment section below. Links to everything that I've spoken about today are in the description box, also down below. And as always, remember to give me a like, because it helps with YouTube. And if you haven't already, please click that subscribe button. So thanks so much for watching. I hope you all have a fantastic time until I speak to you again. Hopefully it won't be too long. And happy crafting, happy knitting, and take care of yourselves. I'll see you soon. Bye.